What's going on, guys? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today I'm going to be showing an older knife from my collection. I've had this one for about 2 years, and it's kind of a collector's knife, so never been used at all, and has lived in a box in the closet under my stairs with other non-user knives, like this one, which is the Boker Mermaid knife. Again, not one that's really meant for use, just kind of a collector piece that I have in my collection. And so most of my user knives are readily available, but most of these kind of collector type knives are just stored in a box and pulled out every once in a while in a closet. And so this one in particular I wanted to show. It's the limited edition of the Opinel number 8, which is just kind of a classic knife that every knife collector should probably have in their collection. It's been around since around 1890, and the design really hasn't changed that much over the years. They've introduced different sizes and upgraded the lock a couple times. I think they added the lock sometime in the 50s, and then updated it again in the 90s to include the ability to lock while it's closed. But other than that, and changing kind of materials, it really hasn't changed the design since it was invented. And so it's just kind of one of those classic knives with a unique locking mechanism that's only found on a couple other knives. That's just a good knife for people's collections. And the great thing about it is the popular models, number 7 and number 8, you can usually get for about 18 bucks. So it's a super budget knife. This one was a little bit more at 45, but still very, very reasonable, especially for kind of a collector's item. So this is the 130th anniversary edition. And so again, I got this in 2020, and it was invented in 1890 or founded in 1890. So it's been around 132 years now, and this is the 130th anniversary edition. So they released 13,000 of these. Most of those were kind of in Europe or in France especially, but 500 of them were designated for the US, and so there was only 500 of these available through the US. Some more may have made their way over through kind of the secondhand market or other sellers. But only 500 were available at retail. And so I ordered this one directly through Opinel. Actually, I think there was like a pre-order at the time that sold out pretty quickly. And so on the box, you can kind of see a hint at what's inside on the knife itself. But this kind of checkerboard pattern with the Opinel silhouette here, the Opinel logo with the hand pointed up towards the crown. I believe this tree is probably the handle material. It's a French hornbeam. Typically their handle material is beechwood, but there's several variations where you can get kind of special editions with different types of wood handle materials. And then the kind of mountain face, which is the French Alps. And I believe their workshop is at the base of that. So just kind of some stuff relative to their heritage for the 130th anniversary. And I will go ahead and pop this open. So inside you kind of have a card. The top of it's in French, which I can't read, but feel free if you read French to pause it there. But it says this pocket knife was invented by Joseph Opinel in 1890. For 130 years, it has been produced by the Opinel family in Savoie, in the heart of the Alps. For 130 years, it has been renowned for its quality, resulting from a savoir-faire handed down from generation to a generation. For 130 years, people have kept it close at hand in a pocket, drawer, or backpack, on a table, in the kitchen, in the workshop, in the garden, and while traveling. For 130 years, it has been a reliable, unique companion, and it's still as sharp as ever. I'm not going to read the back here, especially because I can't, because again, it is in French. But if you'd like to read it, go ahead and pause there. Hopefully it'll focus there for a second. There it goes. So go ahead and pause there if you'd like to read that. But let's take a look at the knife itself. So again, you'll kind of see that checkered pattern that you see on the outside of the box as well. Obviously a little bit different color, and it's again on that French hornbeam handle instead of the typical beechwood. And then the other thing that stands out is kind of the black hardware. So the Viro Block lock is black, as well as the matte black blade. This is still going to be their Sandvik stainless steel Again, it's going to say Opinel with the logo and inox, which is just stainless steel. And then they are serialized, so you can see on here that I have serial 8807, and it's right here at the kind of base of the blade. So serial 8807. Again, that's out of 13,000. I'm not sure if that's like a specific block, like 8500 through 9000 came to the US, or it's just kind of random, but this one is 8807, and then the back side is completely blank, just a clean kind of matte black finish. And again, that Viro block just kind of turns to lock it into place, and that was patented by Opinel, but I'm sure that's expired at this point. And in fact, you can see that on other knives, like the Antonini has a knife that has it, as well as I think CRKT actually made one called the Twistmaster several years back. I'd definitely like to get my hands on that if I can find one at a reasonable price. They're pretty cool looking. I've only ever seen them online. I've never handled one of the CRKT, but definitely pretty cool looking. And so again, as I mentioned, they updated the lock again, I think in the 90s, to be able to lock closed. So you can kind of just twist that to the closed position, and even closed, it will lock that in place so you're unable to open it, and then just twist it back to open it. And this is going to be a nail nick opener. There's not really any fast way to deploy it. And so that's kind of one of the things, you know, this isn't going to be a knife, well, this one especially because it's kind of a collector, but just in general, the Opinel number 8 isn't going to be a knife that a lot of people EDC, mainly because it's not easy to operate one-handed, and it's got kind of a thin blade, so you can use it for a lot of different tasks, but you're not going to want to use it for super heavy use. Like, you know, if you're popping a zip tie, this is a really fine tip that you probably won't want to use on a task like that. But in the kitchen, opening packages, even light use in the garden, like it alludes to on the card, is perfectly usable blades. And people swear by these. There's a huge cult following for Opinel, and probably for very good reason. But for me as a knife collector, you know, it's not something that I would probably carry, even the regular one. I have number 8 in the Beechwood, as well as a couple others. I think I have the number 2, which is like a cool keychain one. It doesn't have the lock. I think the lock starts on number 6. But they're just cool, kind of user-friendly knives. Super good for like at-home use. Not something I'd EDC, again, just because the lock and the nail nick kind of prevent one-handed use. I mean, it's doable, but very slow and difficult. There's no fast deployment of either the lock or the blade itself. And then there's not really a pocket clip. It's kind of an awkward shape. But it is a good size for it. I believe the blade's 3 1/4 inches, and then overall open, it's just over 7.5 inches. So a really reasonable size. They're super lightweight. No matter what kind of wood handle you get, they're super lightweight, and they're also super simple. So there's not a lot of parts on here. I think probably only 4 or 5 parts. Holding everything together, so you have kind of this wood, which is all one piece. I don't know if it'll pick up, but inside is just kind of carved out, so this is all one piece of wood that they machine out. And actually on the print on this one, it probably won't pick up, but it does go inside, which is pretty cool. It actually goes inside this crevice, and you're able to see it all the way in. It probably will not pick up on camera, but very cool. And then there's kind of a collar inside of the Viro block, holding everything together, and then obviously the knife, and I'm sure there's some sort of a pivot inside of here. So that's 3 parts, and then the lock itself, which is 4. There may be something else I'm missing, but I believe it's only 4 or 5 parts, so super simple, clean design with not a lot of moving parts and not a lot of stuff that can fail. And in theory, I think the lock itself is supposed to be a pretty secure lock as far as locks go. It's not a super thin lock. These can be removed if you live somewhere where you're not allowed to have locking knives. You can remove this lock. I've heard like if you close it and then lock it, and then really pull on it, you can just kind of pop those off, and you can get new ones for that and put them back on if you so chose, but if you do live somewhere where locking knives aren't legal, you can remove them, or you can just get one smaller than the 6, like the 5 I don't think has the lock on it. But this is just kind of a super cool one. Again, this is the 130th anniversary. I don't think they've gone super high up in value, although I'm sure they will kind of down the road. By the time we're talking, 150th anniversary, these might be a lot more valuable. But right now, I think you can probably get them for close to $50, which is right around where I bought this one at. But they have some really cool ones as well. If you check out their site, some of the darker wood ones I think look really nice, and then they also have some like laminate wood that's kind of a red or gray, kind of unnatural colors that look really nice as well as just kind of some funner colors like the pinks and the purples. I'm not sure if those are wood or if those are some sort of plastic like FRN or something, I don't know. But a lot of cool new designs, but also the classics. They used to have a set that they gave you most of them, minus I think the biggest one, but I checked today and it's sold out, so I might try and check that out down the road. I do like the look of some of the darker wood ones a lot better than the beechwood ones, so maybe not, I might just buy them individually. And there's a couple of the numbers, so if you're looking and you can't find the whole numbers in the series, there's a couple numbers that were discontinued. The number 1, which I don't think I'll ever get, is super small. I think the blade is under 2 centimeters. I do have a number 2, it's super small also, so I can't imagine how small the number 1 is, but I think it's been discontinued for several decades, and so I don't think I'll get my hands on that one. And then I think the number 11 was also discontinued, just because it was too similar to the 10 and 12. And the 12 is pretty massive from what I remember, and so I think it probably just wasn't so popular in such a large size that people didn't really feel like they needed like a small difference between number 11 and number 12. But for the most part, all of them are still available, and they come out with a lot of cool different limited editions, so you can buy them from their website directly. They seem pretty easy. Some knife manufacturers you have to go through one of the retailers, but Opinel is not one of them. They'll ship directly to you. So definitely check them out. I thought this was a cool one, and it's just kind of more looking for an excuse to pull it out and kind of dig through that box of those collector items that I don't really use, I don't see very often. So I thought I'd make a video about it and kind of share that with you. But really it was more for me to just kind of take these out and look at them. It's just something fun to do every once in a while. If you're interested in seeing kind of more of these not so usable knives, let me know. I'll definitely be interested in making more of these videos. But I do realize that like something like this I'm not really going to use. But it is a variation of a very usable number 8 Opinel, so I thought this was a relevant one that I could do a video on. But let me know what you think of the 130th anniversary edition, as well as just Opinels in general if you have one. If you're thinking about getting one, again, they're super cheap, so easy to get into. But yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great one.